We good? Good evening, everyone. I now call to order the Special Planning Commission meeting for January 24, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the statement of values. Secretary Boozer, could you please read the statement for the meeting?
I'll be happy to. As we gather, we humbly seek blessings upon this meeting. May we act with strength, courage, and will to perform our obligations and duties to our people with justice to all. Let us seek wisdom so that we may act in the best interest of our people, our neighbors, and our country. All of this we ask so we may serve our community with fairness and respect during their needs before all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Commissioner. Please have a seat. We will do the roll call. Staff?
I
if
think
you
we
want
need to
announce.
have a quick minute. I need to check in with IT to make sure that we are broadcasting because I do have an error message. So let's just hold on 1 second.
What would we do if it never had technical difficulties, right?
Okay, I believe we are up and we're going to be, hopefully it's going to remain broadcasting. Roll call. Commissioner Bhatnagar has notified us that he will be arriving late. Commissioner Biagini,
Present.
Chair Kuru,
Here.
Commissioner Wang. He did notify us that he would not be attending today, unable to attend. Commissioner Buza,
Present?
Commissioner Slame,
Here.
Commissioner Crutchlow.
Here.
Great, thank you.
Do we need a motion?
We do need a motion for excusing Commissioners Wang's,
So moved.
Second.
and we will acknowledge when Commissioner Bhatnagar joins us with a timestamp. We have a motion to excuse Commissioner Wang in a second.
So moved. Second.
I am unable to get it up on my screen right now, the vote. Is this a unanimous yes vote for all that are here?
Yes.
Okay, and the
Yes.
motion
Yes.
was made by Commissioner Biagini and seconded by Commissioner Buza, correct?
Eric.
Crutchlow, thank you for the record, since I cannot record it right now, thank you.
Thank you for restating. We have a motion, second, and a consensus vote to excuse. Moving on, we have declaration of commission procedures. Secretary Booza, if you could read the meeting procedures into the record.
I'll be happy to. The chair of the commission directs all activities during the hearings, all comments to be addressed to the commission. Number two, any items on the agenda may be continued to a subsequent hearing. Applicants will be allotted up to 10 minutes to present and justify proposals. The following staff presentations of the item, other speakers will be given up to 2 minutes. The applicant is allotted up to 5 minutes. for rebuttal of the comments. No additional comments will be accepted upon the close of the public hearing, and though the commission reserves the right to direct questions to any speaker on any matter. Special procedures limits may be applied to any items as prescribed by the chair. Appeal of the commission actions must be filed in written with 7 calendar days of the meeting.
Thank you, Secretary Boozer. Copies of the current agenda and staff reports for each of the items on the agenda are available from the Planning Division office on the Friday afternoon preceding the meeting and available online. Moving to the next order of items, continuances and exceptions. This part of the meeting allows for applicants, members of the public, or other interested parties to request an item to be 1, continued without hearing, 2, withdrawn, or 3, taken out of order. This is a special Planning Commission meeting, but are there any requests from applicants, public, or the commission for a continuance or exception for any of the items on tonight's agenda, which is a consent calendar for minutes, and then the discussion around city council topics? Staff?
No, we do not have any requests for continuance.
Seeing none, we move on. As known, the Planning Commission has 7 members. Whenever the full commission is not present, applicants, in this case we have none today, but generally have the option to continue the item to another meeting. Moving to consent calendar, Commissioner Boozer, would you please read the procedure for the consent calendar?
The procedure for the consent calendar is as follows. Consent calendar's items may be enacted, approved, and adopted by one motion unless requested to be removed by anyone for discussion or explanation. If any member of the Planning Commission, staff, the applicant, or a member of the public wishes to comment on a consent calendar item or would like the item to be heard on the regular agenda, make this request now. Items listed on the consent calendar with the associated file numbers constitute public hearing items.
Of which we have the
Consent calendar today,
we have the Planning Commission meeting minutes of January 10th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar item with minutes from the last meeting?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Biagini, second by Commissioner Crutchlow.
Okay, we're still having problems with the screen. So
No worries. We could take a unanimous consensus vote with the remaining members.
yes, is it a unanimous vote? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I was
Would like.
absent. I'd like to be excused from the.
Yes, okay, thank you.
We have a recusal request from Commissioner Boozer. That still gives us a quorum to make the motion and to approve.
Very good, and the motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to next order, public presentations. This part of the item is, this part of the agenda is requested for any members of the public that would like to briefly address the commission on any item not on tonight's agenda. As mentioned, today is a special Planning Commission, and I don't see any members of the public online, if there are any.
There are none raising their hand.
Seeing none, we will move to the public hearing item for tonight's meeting. We have one item that is a special, again, session for us to discuss the Planning Commission strategic planning session for the joint City Council dinner meeting on January 30th, 2024. For the record, we had a very robust discussion at our January 10th Planning Commission meeting, and this is a follow-up requested by this commission to preview the slides and add any additional thoughts before we go into the joint session with City Council. Staff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the revised slide from our last meeting. So I pared down the information and put some items under headings with bullets. I do have 2 updates for you. I did connect with Silicon Valley Power on EV charging and solar. So I do have just 2, I feel like it's really loud, two bits of information for you for them to consider as you look at this slide. And the first one I'm going to go over quickly is EV charging. So they just wanted you to know that the city did enter into an agreement with ChargePoint for public fleet chargers in 2020. In the last 3 years, they added 48 public charge ports and 39 fleet charging ports, and the city now has a total of 107 charging ports. Additionally, the SVP staff went to council in April of 2019 and then again in December of 2022 to facilitate private public charger installation throughout the city. Some of the companies had expressed interest, however, there have been no installations under this program, but they did mention that the city is currently actively working with Tesla. So SVP is working on EV charging, just so you all are aware of the efforts that are currently and in the past have been made on that. And then secondly, we have solar. The city does have an income qualified solar grant program, and they just in January of this year started a commercial solar program. The city has had residential solar programs in the past, but due to SVP low rates, they've not been widely utilized. And the city does have in its work plan to review possible options for additional residential programs once the commercial program is well established.
Excellent.
So just some good information. I know you guys were talking about some of these items, and thank you to SVP for giving me an update on these two important work items. So having said that, I'll go back to your slide here. This would be the slide that you'd be presenting at your dinner. And I do have a notes section that will provide a little more detail under this slide for each bullet point. But with that, Madam Chair, I'll leave it to you all to discuss.
Thank you, staff. And again, kudos to this commission for having raised these interests and then having the prompt response from Silicon Valley Power. Truly appreciate the partnership that we have with Silicon Valley Power in our city, and the facts and the statistics are very leading. My only thought is that we add those facts to the narrative
Absolutely.
so that we reaffirm our interest and the progressive numbers that are coming out from Silicon Valley Power. But with that, I'll open it to the commission members. Any reactions to the two highlighted, and then we can proceed with the rest of the talk.
Yeah, the promoting solar, when you talk about Silicon Valley Power, what about the city's program? The city has, that's what I use. I use solar for heating water in the pool, but that to me is part of promoting solar, and I'm kind of concerned about the way the program is being run. And would like to, get some feedback if they're looking to improve that or what.
So improvements, stressing improvements.
Yeah, so I think there should be a differentiation between what Silicon Valley Power does versus what is being done by the city itself, because they're two different entities.
Makes sense. So in the narrative, then we of course acknowledge the work that SVP is doing, and then add the additional bullets of reaffirming what the city's efforts would be to revitalize and revive the interest to promote solar. Did I rephrase
Perfect.
that? Thank you. Okay. Okay, and so Commissioner Salim, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm most concerned about the promoting of the solar power. It was noted actually years ago that our rates are so low that it is not conducive to solar power as a solution for people on purely rate issues. And what I was hoping to hear from Silicon Valley Power is ideas on how to supplement the process so that the residents are incentivized to do with power and to add solar power. And instead, we hear back that, yes, indeed, we're cheap. That's like the sky is blue. Yes, the sky is blue. Thank you, but that is not what the intent was. The intent was to find solutions that promote solar power. So I'm hoping that if they review some of what we're saying tonight, they can get the idea that we're not looking to review the status. We're looking for solutions to move the bar and actually find solutions that get us to where we need to be. Thank you.
Well, I would think part of that would be, there's two areas of that, right? Number one, if you're not in Santa Clara, the rates that you pay during the day versus at night is so different in other areas under PG&E. I mean, even if you didn't use solar, but you just used battery, you get a benefit of doing that. So with us, it's one rate, and I would hope you're not trying to say, hey, raise the rate.
No, other solutions.
I know, but, and then on the other hand, part of that solution, I think, wouldn't we want to maybe even look at, it's better to do solar maybe on a much larger scale, right? Rather than each individual house. You know, like we already are buying clean energy, but, you know, doing it, you know, at a solar farm and stuff. A lot of cities have done that.
Yes.
And it's been, you know, more efficient and effective because they can maintain it better, right? So I think all those should be, you know, topics of discussion.
Yeah, and staff is capturing the notes as we speak live on the slides. So in a paraphrased way, how can we provide additional, more incentives to promote use of solar power beyond just Silicon Valley Power as being a cheaper incentive, a cheaper version already? And then are there opportunities to I would say, commercialize solar power for larger, I would say, ventures or projects rather than residences only. Like, you know, if I'm thinking of the battery maximization and, you know, a campus such as Future, come on up, Commissioner Buttigieg, we're waiting for you. And the time is 6:18. We have Commissioner Buttigieg joining the commission. And so the interest to have more ability for city to harvest solar power as an alternate source of energy and not rely just on Silicon Valley Power.
Right, you basically do it at a larger level, is more economical, and we definitely have areas that probably you wouldn't want to build housing on or such because of the area.
Yeah. Okay, it's a study topic, definitely. I mean, it's not that we are making city do something that they're not fully cognizant of. So the real impetus for the narrative is that the Planning Commission believes the topics that are presented are to be considered for future study sessions, more education, understanding from data and metrics to see how we can improve, increase additional sources of power for the city. Okay?
Good.
Yeah, Commissioner Buzek.
This is not working, I guess. Yeah, since we're going to be, it looks like the majority of the meeting is going to be geared up to having to do with Silicon Valley Power. Wouldn't it be a good idea to have, somebody from Silicon Valley Power come in and sitting in the meeting in case we have some questions that get a little bit out of hand, or just be online or something so they can answer something to clarify some things just in case.
I think the problem we're going to have is how much time do we actually have?
Yeah, but it looks like,
You're right.
just listening to what's going on right now, it looks like this is going to be a major topic that we're going to be.
Understood, but is the
Yeah.
goal to get a study session?
A steady session, that's it. But just in case, I usually like to get answers to things, right away instead of waiting.
I guarantee what happens is when you do that, you're going to get into the topic and into the details, and then you got the rest of them. Which one
Unless
do you
maybe-
want to give up on?
Just keep the answers as simple as possible, instead of just going on and on and on and on and on, something that could be said.
When it's not you doing it, you can't guarantee what the other person's going to
The other
do.
person's going to be doing.
It's a thought. Okay, Commissioner Biagini.
Okay, I'm a little worried about the limited time that we have,
Yes.
but perhaps we can share what our priorities are ahead of time with Silicon Valley Power, because I think what we're talking about is probably better done in a study session, but give them a shot up front
Yes.
to know that these are the things we want to know about. Anyway, that's a suggestion.
I don't have that slide in here, but last time we did talk about study session topics, and that was one of them. So that is on the list.
Yeah,
And
got it.
SVP is aware
And what we are just
As they provided
talking
some
is just
additional
questions
information.
that we
Yeah.
would directly ask SVP, and I think
Yeah.
it's rightfully so in a study session where we have an engaged, in-depth,
Yeah.
detailed discussion. Commissioner Salam.
All right, so one of the things I'd like to do at this point, before we go too far, is perhaps Elizabeth or other staff would like to enlighten us, which I already know, on exactly what the duration and agenda is for this dinner that we're going to.
And the starting
So you have 55 minutes. It's from 5 PM to 5:55. The chair of this commission is going to present our slides for us. There'll be a welcome by the mayor, so I've got the agenda up here for you. Welcome and introductions, and then right into your slides, which, again, just as a reminder, we have just a quick overview on what the Planning Commission's duties and powers are. Then we go into your 2023 accomplishments, which also include your conference attendance. And then right into your priorities that you would like council to consider when they do their priority setting session later this year.
And one of the thoughts was that we would send the slides ahead
And
to
yes, they
the
will
city
get the slides
manager,
ahead.
so we can just cut to the chase on the priority.
The highlights are there because,
It was just for staff to tell us that she got information back from.
I think it would help it for expectation setting for you to estimate how long each of those items are in the 1-hour meeting. Because I've done the mental estimates, and I think our presentation boils down to about 11 minutes. So
Per topic?
No, period.
Period. Okay.
Because I think the estimate for introductions and comments and review of our accomplishments is going to be, unfortunately, the majority of that 1 hour, plus the time of eating, of course. So roughly 10 to 15 minutes of it is actual meat. So hopefully we can organize and present quickly. And I would hope for the future, when we plan such conversations with council, that we don't artificially limit ourselves up front to a hard 1 hour when something like this could actually generate a lot more conversation. Okay, thank you.
Maybe that should be one of the topics.
That's
Can we
perhaps
have
the
more
first
time?
topic.
With city council.
It's not unusual, though.
That's a
We've done
priority.
this before, and the same issue has come up before, that we have not budgeted enough time for conversation and cut short. It almost feels, I don't want to be angry about it, but it also almost feels staged to the point of we're not really accomplishing anything. It's a photo op, we're in, we talk, and we're out. Whereas what we really would like to have is a conversation.
maybe we should set 2025 next week or the day after we do 2024.
There you go.
Get our bull in the pen first, and longer than an hour.
So I know there was a strategy. There's many, many commissions. The city council's cadence is set. So our focus really is just to engage with city council with, high level, what we would like to have their attention towards us on, as the facts of prior year and accomplishments will already be there. We can go directly into this, but I'm hoping that the narrative that staff can help put together will also give some indications of how much Planning Commission is engaged in its intent to provide ample and intentional guidance to city council decisions on land use.
Heard.
Okay. All right, moving to the next topic. Again, the highlights were just a staff update. The order of priority still continues to be data centers. The interest to bring awareness to city council to focus on an entertainment district as an opportunity to understand the future of both Great America, the surrounding properties, and the ability for city of Santa Clara to become a destination city. By the way, I've been in every traffic jam that Levi's has, and I'm super, I have my double-edged sword there, but there is a lot happening at Levi's. There is a lot. I mean, for any other way to say it, it is a draw. We are becoming a regional center. Sustainability will continue to be the focus in many, many ways for the city. I'm hoping staff are already engaged in just the sustainability initiatives and policies, in addition to SVP having its own initiatives, but our interest continues to engage from the ability to look at more access for EV chargings, as well as the ability for looking at solar as a source of power. And then garbage recycling, I don't know, we'll hang with the words there. It doesn't matter at this point, because I'm sure that'll be another commission. Okay, and then off focus, I would really like to say supporting housing solutions. Maybe we consider adding a couple more bullets into it, because there's no bullets under data center and supporting housing solutions. So maybe even from the slide perspective, from a visual perspective, we add a little more leading statements of what we are looking for in supporting for the housing solution. So I'm opening it up for the discussion for this commission. Okay, Commissioner Bhatnagar.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and apologize for my lateness again. So the thought that comes to your point about the organization of the slide, it seems to me if we start off with what we are responsible for, then supporting housing solutions needs to be higher than sustainability. And perhaps sustainability goes after even city policies, right? Because those are relevant topics to our responsibilities as far as the city council looks at us. So that's just a suggestion. I think other than that,
Yeah.
And then the garbage and all that. So then it goes to the to the
Bottom
last
list.
bullet, basically. Yeah.
Agreed. So to just restate what Commissioner Bhatnagar was focusing on is the Planning Commission in its charter has a responsibility towards land use decisions. So housing would come higher than even after city policies for sustainability, because by inherent forcing mechanism, sustainability will always be on somebody's radar.
You know, I think if you put too many words on here, it's going to be a very difficult slide. So I don't mind like having data centers. All we're trying to do is, if we're asking to create study groups, you know, I think the idea is you list up on your PowerPoint the topics you're going to talk about. Usually you want a visual. We don't have one, that's fine. But then we talk to that topic, because otherwise they're either reading or they're listening, but not both.
Correct. And so not more than 2 bullets, I would say, then under each topic, such that it stays for the record, 1, but 2, it also becomes leading
Right.
conversation lines for us too.
Then what I would recommend is in the notes specifically, you put, it, like, for example, if you don't have all of this, you know, one item has, like sustainability has so many things,
Yeah.
you put them in the notes, right? So that way, at least somebody knows this is all the things we were talking about.
Got it. Commissioner Boozer, you had your hand up? No. Okay. That was a long time ago. Okay. So last year. Okay. So coming back to data centers, we need a couple bullets, anything that sticks so that we have the attention of City Council at the get-go.
Really?
Commissioner Crutchlow.
With 1% of the internet data centers in Santa Clara, we should review the standards for not just building the structure, but the power usage and possible topics specific to this type of business. This would also include the possibility of proposing a master plan development of a location where multiple data centers could be built and optimize service like power. For example, all data centers have backup generators using diesel, which is very dirty power source.
Okay.
If we look, blah, blah, blah.
We need
I mean,
bullets.
that's in the notes, but if you want,
I can put that in 3 words.
Go ahead, Commissioner
Okay.
Boozer.
All the stuff that he said is, data centers that are being built right now are being built too close to residential areas, and he, like you said, the diesel generators and so on and so on. Right now, we're maxed out. We don't need any more data centers. I don't know how we can be able to put any more data centers in our city with the power is maxed out, and right now, we're going to the citizens of the city and saying, hey, we're gonna have to charge you more because we have to upgrade our power because we have now so many data centers, and we need to get upgrade our power because of them. And I know you're only using like 8% of the power of your citizens, but the data centers are sucking up everything. And really, This is really.
That's not 3 words. That's an
Exactly.
Yeah,
argument.
that's the thing.
I got it. Okay.
I could say 3 words, but
I
actually
think
I
staff
could write
have
them down and
summarized
you
it.
know what they will be.
Standards for data centers, location requirements, sustainable backup, no, and I.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Backup power source. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Location, power usage,
Is that okay? Does that capture it?
And I would add benefits. You know, if the city really feels that there is benefits and impacts, I mean, the city is, of course, gaining a lot of revenue from these. So there is a
That's
revenue
questionable.
component of it.
There you go.
That actually has been questionable because of the number of employees in a data center.
Thank you.
There's a different type of revenue when they get from the building permits and when they get the actual in lieu fees and when they get all of the
I
others.
would like a little bit of that annuity.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not just employment-based.
Exactly,
It's selling
exactly.
our power, but we already sold so much power that we have to go back to the citizens and say, hey, we have to increase
Hold
our
on,
rates.
hold on. I would say, let's put that off, because I can give you arguments on the other side of it. You have very valid arguments, but the idea is just to get what's on here and discuss
Yeah,
it, and have a study group.
I agree.
That's where we go and have the discussion.
I agree 100%.
cost sharing. that's-
Okay, moving to the next topic, I think the second one's fairly is self-explanatory. Supporting housing solution, is the commission have it, does the commission have any high-level bullets on what should be the
On
housing
sustainability?
discussion around?
Supporting housing solutions.
Do you really want to take up the topic that everybody fears?
Homeless?
Well,
Yes.
you know what, though? I mean, I look at
not
it this
fierce.
way. I mean, when somebody talks about a housing development, there seems, I could be wrong, but it seems to me that there's an automatic reaction that, oh my God, we're going to have a bunch of drug addicts in our neighborhood. And I think that that's, when we talk about supporting housing solutions, there's a differentiation between, what do you call them, shelters and, I'm trying to think of the short way of saying it, but homes for service workers in the city of Santa Clara.
There's the
Those are two
bullets.
different things.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. I think you're absolutely right. So we do take it on, and we just mentioned those things, including
Yeah.
other things such as how many people that work here, like fire and police, can actually afford to live in the city?
There you go.
Very broad-ranging topic. There's many, many, many layers to peel on just the implication of housing needs. We have definitely the homeless and affordable housing components of it. But the bigger question for me has also been the allied or support systems when we have increased housing and the density of housing that goes into our city, AKA transportation corridors, the support mechanism for utility systems, our sewers, our water, our electricity, all of that. That's my interest in infrastructure.
Infrastructure is
Yeah.
declining, and we're building more houses, so we cannot support it.
We're making it a study session to understand
Study
what
session.
it is, and we're not qualifying any of those topics as being better or worse. So I think staff, just a couple of bullets to say, housing, homeless housing options, and then infrastructure supporting housing density in city of Santa Clara, just to SEC.
Yeah, infrastructure is a big one.
It is, yeah. Commissioner Salim?
I actually have been through the process of researching small home edition in the form of prefab, pre-built small homes, Tesla, other companies. I submitted names before. They are in the neighborhood now of, with foundations, connections, and everything, under $100,000 for a one-bedroom ADU, which is compared to from-scratch building of a close to 500,000. So at 20% of scratch build, these solutions could actually drop into city-owned lots, backyards, people who are willing to subsidize the installation in favor of gaining maybe tax and property breaks or something. We have the opportunity to investigate solutions for newer technologies than what has traditionally been seen as an ADU or as a small home.
Yeah.
I think we could pursue that as a commission.
Yep.
In the narrative, of course, there'll be additional details. Also wanted to just highlight, since watching the news, City of San Jose and Oakland and several other Bay areas are considering legal framework around homeless and those who do not want to avail of transitional or even supportive housing. The legal would be, beyond the ethical challenges is the cities are actually looking at regulatory misdemeanor frameworks for homeless individuals who do not want to avail, and I'm sure legal is
Yeah,
tracking from.
But I think, don't just say unhoused solution, because that raises the specter, but it's also the issue of
Lower income housing.
service workers, Santa Clara residents / service workers, housing.
Low-income housing.
Low income housing.
Low income as most people define it, housing.
So I think we've got enough, and of course, the slide is becoming heavier. We won't have the time again, barely all of 11 minutes as calculated by our own in-house time expert.
Well, I'm taking a bet it's going to be 20 minutes, so we can, all contribute to charity if we take bets, and you say 11, I say 20.
No, I said 11 to 15, but I'll bet 15.
So we'll take it as we'll play it by the ear. Again, I am grateful that city at least is considering hearing us.
I'm not adding a bullet, but I would highly recommend on the skilled labor policy attaching Angela, the carpenter that was here, because she had that one-page executive summary about that issue that I thought said it all better than probably any of us could, and it gets to the point, and I'd like for the council to see that.
Was it her speech or the examples she sent? This
Her
was
speech. The examples now you get into a lot more that's probably
Okay.
better for a study session, but her speech outlined the points, I thought, pretty concisely and clearly.
Okay.
And you could remove garbage and recycling if you're getting real estate issues on the slide.
Yeah, I mean, the other question I'm going to have here in a moment, I'm hoping we're going to talk about are the things that were not on here.
Yeah. So let's first align. Again, reaffirming our agenda is very tight. With the introductions, we have to play it by the ear. Our real interest is just to get an awareness out to the city that Planning Commission is engaged, intentional, and is looking to have City Council support in learning and educating the community as well as ourselves and the City Council and other commissions on all of these topics.
Looks good to me.
Okay? Commissioner Bhatnagar?
So again, just some thoughts here. One on this slide, under city policies, maybe you want to make that a number 4, but anyways, under city policies, the vacant and blighted building ordinance, that again is lined up with our responsibilities, right? So among those policies, and I think we have spent some time discussing that, right? The impact that this is having on our houses and blighted areas. So maybe, increase the, put it up at the top of the city policy statements, yeah.
And also city policies to come above sustainability.
Yeah, you
Leslie.
make
So sustainability will,
Yeah, so sorry, Commissioner Brazil, one last thing to say. I agree with you. Okay, thank you. But one last thing to say, and this is another thought, following the topics actually Commissioner Lance mentioned just a few minutes ago. So in the interest of being let's say, a weighted meeting, right, where we present these things in a manner that we're able to explain and have some time with the City Council, is it possible to think of an annual presentation at the City Council meeting, just like as if this was a staff meeting presentation to City Council? So we put that on the agenda, that one day in a year, the City Council hears from the Planning Commission, and perhaps they want to hear from the Historical Commission and the Parks Commission and the Salary Commission and so on, right? So everybody there over a period of time gets that chance to give their whole story for what they want to prioritize.
Are we now getting into additional topics at this point, or no?
No.
Because that to me is an additional topic that I'm very interested in.
Okay.
and I think what Commissioner Bhatnagar is almost a closing statement with City Council to say, one, we'd like your attention more, and is there an opportunity for us to either have more sessions with City Council and/or to present at City Council the charter or the framework for topics as well as key decisions that the Planning Commission would
Right,
like
but-
to
and-
share
but
with
the
the city
important
council.
thing is it has to be in a structured, not just, hey, here's what we're doing.
No, with an agenda.
Yeah.
Topic. It's an agendized topic.
Yeah, so here are the things that we've done, so
Yeah.
they know that it's only going to be so much, and it'll be in their packet, so they can read further details. But it gives us, obviously, the opportunity to ask the questions that we want to ask of them instead of doing it once a year.
I think it's a great close to say, moving forward, here's what we're looking for.
Yep.
I just have one little thing. Early in our meeting here, the discussion you have, you wanted to, you said, well, we should just focus on the stuff that the Planning Commission actually does. Okay, looking at the slides here, I will just wipe off half of that stuff out of there, or more than half of it. Supporting housing and solutions, that's part of our job here that we do. Entertainment, yeah, because it's building, developing the area. Vacant and building ordinance, yes, I agree with that. Skilled labor thing, yeah, so the rest of the stuff, we have nothing to do with the power. Data centers, yeah, because we have to approve those. I don't know who approved the other ones that got built. I wasn't here, but I'm pretty sure you weren't here either. So, but those are the topics. Everything else, the solar charging and all, that's nothing to do with us. I mean, we're going to be wasting time in there. Put the stuff that has to be with the Planning Commission, and everything else can be brought in another time in front of the City Council. But just focus on the things that we are doing, the job that we are doing. Let's we're building, we're not here doing medical or dental work in here. We're in the building and for our city.
Understood. Okay. Now, thank you, staff. I think the slides are good. The follow-through will happen with a brief summary or a one and a half pager memo that can either substantiate or add a little more with the languages we just spoke about. So now we can entertain, and I think Commissioner Crutchler, you were leading to it. Do you want to talk about other topics that are not listed here but were discussed at the last?
Yes.
Okay. Staff, if you want to just highlight the presentation from last.
Yeah, just give me a minute. Sorry. Okay, so did you want the study session information? I think this is what you were talking about?
Well, number one, let me start with the one that we just ended with. Just as a note, when we talked about doing it once a year, I would rather ask for like once a quarter. If we may do that, only because I think once a year once a quarter is minimum, I think. That would be my recommendation.
So for staff's help, yeah.
Yeah, and then I think in my altruistic way that I am, the one thing that I've always wanted out of government is when all these regulations and legislation get passed, I would think that the obvious thing that would happen is have some kind of metric to measure the success or failure of these policies, because I think a lot of people would be very amazed at how many things went in that didn't work right. I'll give you one example. When you talk about increasing the EV power supplies, what charger are you going to use? Is it only for Teslas? Do you have one for everyone? Do you have to make everybody have converters for them? So, those would be the kinds of things like, okay, we put this out there, but then what did we put out? How successful were we? So I did have one in there about a metric and saying, okay, having a study group just to basically look at, okay, how do we measure success? we can certainly say that, and I've seen a lot of people do this, saying, yeah, we passed so many bills, or we had all these permits. How successful were those policies? For example, the policy that you always like, Nancy, regarding, labor. How many people actually took up the suggestion?
impact of these policies.
Yeah, so I think that, I think to be a very efficient government, that's something that I just have, I don't know if I've ever seen it anywhere, but I would love to say, can you let us at least measure, when we make recommendations, we have some way of monitoring them and measuring them and then being able to give you a way to say, hey, this is what we were able to do, and this was the results.
Something like metrics on the effect of policies that were recommended.
Yeah,
Very, very broad, so we will have to, otherwise it'll just go into a limbo and a black hole, so I will be upfront on what will happen with such a broad. We would like to have evaluations, and again, we can't dive so much into whatever the state has required us from a housing metric, did we solve the world hunger by removing parking, or parking reductions? Did we reduce greenhouse gas emissions by reducing, cars?
No, but let's talk about density, for example, right? So let's say the state says we mandate that you do X, Y, and Z, and whoever looks at it and says, well, this is what it's resulting in, and we need to now go to the state and saying, hey, listen, your policy is hurting us, right? How do we have some kind of way of measuring it and saying, here are the real statistics of what have happened because of these policies?
So a couple of then, we can be a little more specific onto what kind of metrics would help, at least from a reasonable SMART goal standpoint. What are we? Are we specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable? Do we have the right people, and is it time bound? The metric that we are looking for is more specifically, I would say, which has been under the local jurisdiction or the local government, would be in tracking the homeless population. Have we really seen effective reduction, which they are doing already? Again, it falls under the purview of county a little, but managing that. EV charging stations, if you have mandated EV policy, or your sustainability metrics, or your climate action plan, or your things that we have locally adopted, implemented, or effected, then we have an ability to ask for those metrics a little better, if it's data-based.
Agreed. I mean, as you come up with different topics, you can add metrics because you have a certain policy, and here's, how do you define success? So, I think that's important, especially when you have stuff like ADUs, and, we put stuff in there to say, well, we don't want everybody doing an Airbnb, right? And things like that. Okay, great. Is that policy working correctly, the way we expected it?
And that's a zoning code, but yes, we've got to be thoughtful about our ask from a city council standpoint. The two things that I would say is the city tracking its policies with a data and a metric-based effort? Or are we just adopting policies and letting, natural selection dictate its longevity?
Survival of the fittest.
Exactly.
Well, I'm thinking creating metrics for measuring the success and impact of our decisions, because impact and success are not necessarily the same thing.
Commissioner Salem?
Yeah, I wanted to take an opportunity to maybe correct expectations around something Commissioner Buja said. We have the ability to review, set, and improve ordinances and policies in the city to support some of the things that don't seem to be in our purview, like EV charging. We already have an EV charging requirement for larger developments and housing developments. We can improve that with our attention to it, to include perhaps providing some public access to some charging so that we can improve the overall city availability of these things. And doing that as a commission is simply recommending to the council that these new policies be put in place as a standard for the city. And that moves those topics into our area of influence, and they're not just wishful thinking, they're actual tasks that we can pursue. So the last thing was the IT, two-factor authentication. That was less of the concern that I had. My concern was things along the lines of council supporting IT in their efforts to provide us more reliable turnkey meeting and technology solutions. And if you want an example, consider the meeting we're in. The first part of the meetings that we attend are always plagued with some form of technical issue. It's not anything to do with staff or even IT's lack of skill. I think they're highly skilled. I think what it is that we need some support for them to be able to review and improve our solutions so that these things are no longer a concern and don't hinder us from getting a job done. They just work. We'll push a button. We're online. That's how we should be at this point. So that was that item, and that's it. Thank you.
In this day and age, if you don't say AI and if you don't say sustainability, you're considered part of
All right.
civilization.
Buzzwords,
So
AI,
let's just go there.
Data management.
Consider IT innovations and ability to, consider AI. And I mean, for me, I would say minutes, your meeting minutes, how easy it should be to do AI in it. Okay, we generally have a lot covered. We've kind of hit at a very high level, and I think staff has been very patient with us in having a second session just for this particular discussion, albeit 55 minutes, an effective 15 minutes of discussion with City Council. But it reiterates the charter for us as a Planning Commission, and our interest continues to be growing in supporting City Council in its decision-making capacities. For data centers, I would say to your question, Commissioner Boozer, I don't think data centers have come to Planning Commission. They've always been considered just legally buildable.
Correct.
And that's one of the things over there.
We already did with our zoning code, and last meeting we were,
SB, a commission with
Yeah.
Silicon Valley Power, that's one of the ones that,
and we have corrected that in our zoning code. Thanks again to city staff who heard us loud and clear. Now and henceforth, new data centers would come under some kind of discretionary review,
Use
either
permit.
through
Conditional use permit.
it'll come to a use permit. Again, they are in high industrial areas, and supplemental over 30% or something like
Come up with some
that.
guidance for staff because data centers are very technical.
Yeah. And so with that, I think we've covered most of our interest for June 30th. January 30th. Phew, thank you. I'm already there. I'm already retired as a chair. Okay, Jan 30th, 5:30 is our meeting, logistics.
5 p.m.
It was,
5 now.
you sent an email 5:30, so that was the last I read. Okay, it's 5 o'clock. Thank you very much for reminding me. I will be there at
the
5,
only one. I'm not the
missing
Well, hold on, I have one last thing I wanted to ask. Because of the limited time that we have, do we want to say something like, hey, and we will send you,
They're going to have it ready for the
Ready
meeting,
for it?
and it'll
Okay.
be there.
Yeah.
On
So
your tables.
I'm going to print out the notes page, and I'm going to include a little more detail for each one of these down in the notes and have that
Yeah,
printed.
just
We
bullets or a
can-
brief
yeah, we-
description.
After that dinner, if we want to have a follow-up memo or something like that,
can do
if
that.
we want to discuss that at your next meeting.
Just to reaffirm, and I think this has been the case last time around, and I could be wrong in my memory, does City Council have its regular meeting that day?
Yes, they do. That's why
And
there's the.
do they have a
hard
closed
stop.
session right after or before?
They have a closed session at 6 p.m.
Okay, and that's why it's 5:55. So
correct.
very, very strategic, but Commissioner Saleem.
Yep.
Exactly.
Just a last comment that we could have a gentleperson's agreement amongst ourselves to keep our introductions brief.
Yeah.
If you have a lot that you'd like to say, perhaps write it up and have it submitted along and send it to staff, and they can submit it along with the other things. Because if we as a group could crunch down that part of the session, we might actually give ourselves some bonus time.
well, it's
for
just an
conversation.
introduction.
What do we need to say besides
I'm not there to
our names?
propose.
Who you are,
Well,
who you are, what your
Logistics on the
position is
day
on the
of,
committee.
based on what staff has said, the chair will present, aka myself. I will be doing the presentation. We will engage. I'd say no more than 2 questions, comments between our staff and city council. So pick your questions.
Right.
Based on the flow and sensing from the time, I have a feeling it's going to be and in and out.
I don't mind if you do our introductions, that kind of,
That
Don't
would,
mind either,
yeah.
no, please, that would be wonderful.
as long as you
Our
pronounce,
Yeah.
names will be there on the table.
as long as you pronounce my name
And
right, I'm
so
okay.
we will all be known when we are seated
There
in
you
our
go.
chairs.
Hi, my name
For
is
the
Nancy, you
public.
know who I am, move
No,
on.
I guess they all know us all by then, so we will say this.
Mario wants to say, hello, Mario.
You know, if we can get through this in a way that we feel our items are covered, I don't even care if we get bread and water for dinner, okay?
Well, the introductions are,
That's where things
Don't
are.
eat, take your meal
Yeah,
with you.
take small bites. Whoever's having the pizza, don't chew on it too long.
Who can wait to eat after they go into the
All
closed session?
right, thank you
Wait.
very much, staff. Is there anything else on
Yes.
tonight's agenda? Want to make sure we hit everything for moving on. Again,
I
I
know I can't get
appreciate
her attention. One
Commissioner
last
Salam,
thing.
last comment.
If you're going to introduce us, I would request that it's mostly for the public that you're introducing us. It's not really for council. They know who we are. They put us here. So introduce us expeditiously, that's all.
Yes, and I will just call out your names, wave for the camera, and we will acknowledge whoever's in the room.
Do this.
Okay.
That's good.
Reports of commission, board liaison, committee members. We do have one announcement from staff. Oh, are we taking a vote on this?
No.
Okay.
Oh. Perhaps you could add that.
But we are on item reports of commission board and liaison and committee announcements and other items. So I'm sorry it won't, I can't get it up on the screen.
It's okay. On your table, staff, Elizabeth, again,
Yeah,
thank you
yes,
very
the
much.
travel, that's the travel and training. Leslie, did you have anything on announcements, other items?
I do not.
Okay. So on travel and training, this came out right after we published the agenda for tonight's meeting. So for planning purposes, the APA National Planning Conference is taking place April 13th through the 16th, and then online May 8th to the 10th. So this is a good time for you to be looking at your calendars. Your budget, you still have a sizable amount. I don't have it at the moment, but you know it's a large amount. We'll be presenting that at the next meeting. And we can take a vote at the next meeting. Registration is open.
Yes.
So I did print this out so you can see the cost also. In person is $785. There would be obviously quite a few other costs with that, you know, flight, yeah. So it's a good opportunity, and
It is a good conference.
planning ahead now will be really helpful to know who wants to do it. And then online is only $350, so.
I think we're a little jaded online, however, considering that there is an opportunity, we do have finance budget availing. The National Planning Conference led by the American Planning Association is a very renowned industry-wide, several states participate with your full force members. I just want to confirm, Elizabeth, are we all considered members?
Yes,
Okay. And so and is there a registration discount by date where we are getting a little?
no, this is
is the
the
rate?
cost
Okay.
right now, yeah.
Okay. And so whoever, it's a 4-day affair, includes travel, lodging and stay, flight. So just want to make, and your per diem. So consider it for next meeting's decision.
Yeah, that's great, thank you.
Okay, budget updates from the director or staff?
We did do the budget update at the last meeting, and we do it one time a month, so I'm sorry I don't have anything with me.
No worries. Any upcoming agenda items for the next meeting?
I believe we have a data center and a rezoning for you at your next meeting.
Oh, exciting. When is our meeting?
It's the 31st?
There's so many meetings, I know.
Whoa, okay.
Yes, so yeah, because several commissioners have asked, I know there's some confusion.
Confusion.
So, yes, dinner meeting on the 30th at 5 o'clock, planning commission meeting the next day at 6
Oh, we are
o'clock.
hitting a record of 4 meetings in
Yeah.
Jan.
Busy this January.
Okay, Commissioner Boozer. Okay, city council actions, anything of note?
There was not a city council meeting since the last time we met, so no actions to report.
Anything before we adjourn?
Yeah, just On the next meeting, regular meeting that we have, we're going to have an agenda item to follow up and review our presentation to City Council.
We can do a debrief.
Yeah.
At the meeting, so just have some time allocated for debrief of the city council.
And I would say
And
put
action
it,
items.
put it at the end.
Yes.
That way, we need to cut out before 12:30 at night.
Thank you again for everybody who's been here for the second meeting and the third and upcoming fourth this month. We appreciate everybody taking their time, and we adjourn officially at 7:01
Great, thank you.
by consensus
By
vote
unanimous
for the record.
consensus, yeah.
Yes.